Everyone, welcome to the combined agenda and regular meeting of the Monroe Township Council. He's prepared. On this date and time of March 3rd, please rise as we honor our flag. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Charles DePiero. Councilman Michael Markel.
Here.
Councilwoman Rupa P. Siegel. Council Vice President Terrence Van Zora. Council President Miriam Cohen.
Please read the Sunshine Law into the record.
In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, it is hereby announced and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting that adequate notice has been provided by the following. 1. Posted on the bulletin board within the municipal building on December 27, 2024, and remains posted at that location for public inspection. 2. Printed in the Home News Tribune and the Cranberry Press on December 27, 2024. 3. Posted on the Monroe Township website. And 4. Sent to those individuals who have requested personal notice. In accordance with Chapter 3, Section 17 of the Monroe Township Code, public comment shall be limited to 5 minutes unless further time is granted by the Council President.
Item 5 is proclamations and presentations, and the council and her colleagues have offered their congratulations to Krista Bell on her retirement after 26 years as the telecommunications officer with the Monroe Township Police Department. And again, congratulations from all of us to Scott Lamantia on his retirement after 25 years, senior mechanic with the Monroe Township Public Works Department. Item 6 is Resolution R3 2025-048, a resolution authorizing temporary 25 capital budget. Item 7, would you please read the ordinances for the second reading?
Ordinance 01-2025-003, ordinance amending Chapter 79, Police Department Rules and Regulations by repealing Articles 1 through 5 and 8 and amending and relocating Chapter 79, Article 6 to 7 and Articles 9 to 13 to Chapter 3, Administration of Government, Article 6, Department of Administration and Finance, subsection 3-50, Division of Police. Ordinance 01-2025-004, bond ordinance providing for various roadway, sidewalk, and curb improvements by and in the Township of Monroe, in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $1,700,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,619,000 in bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the cost thereof. Ordinance 01-2025-005, bond ordinance providing for recreation improvements on open space by and in the Township of Monroe, in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $250,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $238,000 in bonds or notes of the Township to finance part of the cost thereof.
And the ordinance for introduction, please.
Ordinances for introduction at the March 3rd regular meeting. Ordinance 03-2025-006. Bond ordinance appropriating $406,000 from developer payments to provide for the improvement of the Southfield Estates Pump Station and the Hidden Pond Pump Station in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey.
Thank you. Resolutions for consideration under our consent agenda at the March 3rd, 2025 meeting. Resolution R3 2025-049 through R3 2025-076. Any member of the council, please have requests? Yes, Mr. Councilman DePiero.
Council President, thank you. R3 2025-049. First one. That's it.
Anyone else have any resolutions they wish removed from the consent agenda? Okay, right on. We will move to the public comment section. Remember, this is limited, please, to agenda items only and 5 minutes per speaker. May I have a motion to open the public comments for the agenda session, please? Thank you. May I have a second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Any residents wishing to come before the council at this time, please do so. Good
Madam
evening.
President.
Yes.
I have a question
Welcome in.
about
We do need to do your name and address for the record.
George Kunkelman, 5 Kelly Court,
Thank
Monroe
you.
Township. Thank you. In the ordinance 004, the bonds ordinance, curious what the expected rate will be for those bonds, what we're anticipating.
Mr. Weinberg, please.
Thank you, Council President. Actually, just got the report from the investment advisor of where what's called bond anticipation notes. That's the first thing it would go into. And currently bands are at about 3% at this point. It fluctuates month to month.
And these are for how many years?
Those are 10, those would be the life of road improvements would be 10 years.
Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda, 050, the second one. If someone could explain to me what this program for busing is about, who's doing it, and what the nitty gritty of that is. I'm not familiar.
Mr. Weinberg, please.
Sure, I'll give it a stab, and the township attorney will correct me if I'm wrong. We get a significant number of buses from New Jersey Transit as grant buses for seniors and the disabled. And in order to get those buses for us at no cost through the New Jersey Transit, which gets them through the federal government, we just have to state that we comply with Title VI, which I believe is the Civil Rights Act, to make sure that we don't discriminate against anyone who uses our buses.
Okay. So it's just keeping a door open, basically?
It's saying that we don't discriminate on anyone.
Yeah, no, I mean keeping a door open to have access to this program.
Yeah.
It's appropriate equipment. Okay. And then going down to the end, 075 and 076, temporary budget appropriations and transfers. How much money were we talking about?
So I believe on 075, the temporary budget appropriations would take us to about 28 million. That would get us through. Our plan is to obviously, as required by DCA, introduce at the April 7th meeting. I'm sorry, at the April 7th meeting, and approve at the May 3rd meeting, and that should take us through May 3rd. And then the transfers is, I believe, about 234,000. You're allowed to, at the end of 2024, any fiscal year, for the next 3 months, January, February, and March, do some transfers to move some stuff around. As you can see in there, this is our last month to do that, and we did that with about 234,000. It was a $73 million budget.
That's all I have, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come forward. State your name and address for the record.
Good evening. Gary Busman, 5 Monarch Road, Monroe Township. 055, resolution authorizing refund of tax overpayments. Can I know the approximate dollar amount of that?
$400. 55?
55.
Pulling it out in front of me.
And if you have the information,
49,000?
49,000?
49,000 was the number.
49,000. Was it more or less the same amount in the previous year? Or what does that usually run?
So, Council President, if I can, we do this monthly. This is for a variety of reasons. This can be for people who are eligible for a veteran's tax deduction, whether it be a permanently disabled veteran's tax deduction. This can be for someone who's accidentally paid their taxes twice. Each reason is listed. This can be for someone who's filed a tax appeal in state court, can show up on here, and they're all listed individually about what type of tax overpayment that they're related to.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
Yep.
060, the maintenance of salt between the Board of Ed and the township. Has this always been a 5-year agreement? And if so, what is what's the total cost that we share, and what percentage do we share?
Yeah, so this is actually our first time officially doing this agreement, but we have worked with the school district over, as far as I know, going back decades. As you know, we have a large salt storage facility at the DPW yard.
Yes.
We allow the school district to have salt delivered there, and then when they come and pick up salt for any event that they have, we deduct that from the amount of salt that they've delivered, and therefore it's an efficient use of for the township, because they're able to not have to build and operate a salt dome separately from the township itself.
So in other words, we're selling salt to the Board of Education at cost.
No, if I could
Doesn't that mean sharing?
if
you
I could-
just-
sorry, I apologize.
No, I just need to understand. You said we store the salt, they come and take the salt, and then they reimburse us for the salt they're taking.
They if I could, they pay for the salt. They have like 50 tons delivered, and every time they pick up a ton,
I understand.
we deduct it.
Fine, thank you.
Anyone else wishing to address us, please come forward. Your name and address for our records, Dr. Parag.
Good evening, everyone. Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. I have a few questions on resolution 068 and 069. We are obtaining Green Acre grant of 750,000. I'm talking about resolution 068. And we are matching with 250,000, so total it will be 1 million for the playground at Monroe Community Center. So, okay, $1 million total. So the playground at Monroe Community Center, how much area we have for the playground?
Gardens.
Well, community garden. Thank you, Councilman.
I don't know if Mark wants to answer that. Mark, if you would.
What was the question? Are you looking for?
Question, okay, I will summarize both, 068 and 069. We are, for the 068, we are obtaining Green Acre grant of 750,000 from state or whatever it is. To get that 750,000, we have to match 250,000. So we match it, so total becomes 1 million. So that 1 million is going towards a playground at Monroe Community Garden. So my question is, how big is the playground at Monroe Community Garden? Okay, that is for 068. Now for 069, we are again getting Green Acre grant of 469,000. To get that grant, we have to match 1,407,000. So total becomes 1.6 million, 1.576. So if you add 068 and 069, we are talking about $205 million.
2 million.
Yeah. So the community garden, playground, so I'm okay getting money, but playground, how big is the playground?
So the inclusive playground, and it's not, the final design is not complete. It's roughly 100, if I remember correctly, 120 feet by 80, I want to say, in that general dimension. It includes a parking lot, and it includes a bathroom, actually a two-stall bathroom facility that's going to be in the community garden. So it's the entire project.
So it is
It's
cost.
not just a playground.
No, I understand. So it cost 2.5 million?
If that's what, I don't recall the exact number. I think it was closer to 3 million,
Oh,
actually,
close to 3
Yes.
million. Okay.
if I
A
recall.
lot of money. Okay,
There's
thank
there's
you.
also a picnic area, expansion of the community garden. It's a whole
Okay.
area.
No, I'm very thankful we are getting grant. Okay, just wanted clarification. Don't misunderstand me. So this is good. Thank you very much. Yeah.
You're welcome. Anyone else wishing to address us, please come forward now.
Michelle Arminio, 9 Nathaniel Street. Just to piggyback on that, we just told, I'm sorry, yeah, I said 9 Nathaniel Street. Okay. Was it the 120 by 80 feet?
Don't hold me to that number, but it's approximate. I don't have that information in front of me of the actual size, but we submitted all this through Green Acres. It was all submitted. We received the grant, and this is the next step in getting the funds for the grant.
Okay, again, I'm for it as well, but 120 by 80 is a very small piece of property to spend $3 million on. That's what.
Okay, if I can elaborate more on the project.
Please elaborate.
There's a parking lot approximately.
Oh,
yeah.
there's more.
There's more.
Yes,
to it.
as I said to the previous resident, there's additional parts of this project, and
Okay.
this money goes to the entire project. It includes bathrooms, running sanitary sewer line, there's stormwater management, there's a parking lot.
There you go.
Yeah,
That makes
so
sense
there's
now.
quite a bit.
Thank
And
you.
it's expansion of the garden itself.
Good. Very much clearer. The ordinances, and we just, ordinances, 004. That's 10 years. We got that information. The bonds from that, is that coming out of the general fund
Mr.
or
Morgan,
capital fund? What fund is that
please,
coming?
sir.
So that would be a capital ordinance, which we would pay back through debt service, and the debt service ultimately would come through our current fund.
Okay.
So
And the next one, 005, is that coming out of the open space fund?
Council President, yeah, that's correct. That would be part of our recreation and open space fund.
What is the amount in that fund, and what is currently the debt service from that fund?
We currently bring in, I believe, about, I want to say $1.3 million a year as part of the 1.5 cent tax. I believe debt service and other costs may be approximately about $1 million a year from previous land acquisitions and to cover debt service and other costs. And at times we have purchased some land pay as you go, which means using actual cash on hand. If the cash builds up over $1 million or $2 million, we can certainly at times buy land with actual cash and not finance it over time. I don't know what the current balance is. The AFS will be coming out in about a week, and I'll have a better sense of.
It seems like so you're saying we're pulling in 1.3 million per year approximately.
Correct.
So, but our debt service is almost $1 million a year?
Our debt service currently, I believe, is approximately $1 million, and there's other costs associated. Yeah, about $1 million.
But that's almost like a break even every year, right?
Council President, if I may. Yeah, I mean, the fund is supposed to be utilized. I mean, the goal here is to buy land and not sit on
Happy
cash.
happy
you know?
to do it, but I mean,
Yeah.
we should have, okay.
The goal is not to sit on cash. And when we do accumulate cash, which in the past we've had like $2 million in the fund, we try and utilize that cash because the goal is to attract as much land as we can while we have the money and leverage that as best we can.
Okay, thank you. I'm satisfied with that answer. This ordinance for the first reading tonight, it's number 3006. How much is in that fund? And is that related to taking the $17,000 out to pay for the wet basin?
Okay, so those are very different things. So
Okay.
the wet basin, I can answer separately. That's to manage the basins. I think there's probably 80 basins that we manage. We have a trust fund of about $1.4 million that we use to manage our basins, to cut the grass, and also the wet ones to make sure there's no algae. Did you say 006?
Well, before you go to that.
Sorry.
And I'm sorry. And that money is coming from builders' contributions?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
so that money, okay.
That money's all from builders' contributions. This is also builders if you're talking about 006.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to turn that over to Joe. This is a fully funded capital ordinance. To actually put it into our capital budget, we still have to do a capital ordinance, except we're not bonding for this money. This is cash being given to us by a developer to bring our pump stations up to code so that we can operate them. Joe, do you want to? Sorry. Okay.
I'm good with that. Thank you.
Right.
Let's see, on resolution, R3 2025056, it's a contract to Center State for professional services. Am I done already?
You're done.
Okay, can you just answer the 240? Is there work invoice? Are they itemized?
So this is a both to design, bid, and construction manage our road paving, sidewalk, and we're also going to be doing guide rail this summer, probably somewhere in the order of 1.7 million plus another 100,000 for guide rail. So we'll probably be doing close to a $1.8 million program this summer, and we have to design it, bid it, and construction manage it.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come forward now. Seeing and hearing none, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public comment section, please.
Motion.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Public comment section is closed. I'd like a motion to adjourn the agenda meeting, please. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora. Council President Cohen.
Yes. Meeting is adjourned. Time is
6:52.
going to call to order the regular meeting of the Monroe Township Council. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second. Second. Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Here.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora. Council President Cohen.
Yes. Meeting has been called to order. May I have a motion to approve the payment of claims for run date of February 25th, 2025? Thank you. Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman DePiero.
Abstain.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora. Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Motion to approve the minutes of the following meetings as written and presented.
Motion.
Thank you. These are for January 29th of the agenda and regular combined meeting. May I have a second on that motion, please?
Second.
Thank you. A roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora. Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 4 is the resolutions for consideration. R3 2025-048 is a resolution authorizing temporary 2025 capital budget. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman DePiero.
Yes.
Councilman Markel.
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel.
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora. Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Ordinance for the second reading. 01-2025-003. Ordinance amending Chapter 79, Police Department Rules and Regulations by repealing Articles 1 through 5 and 8 and amending and relocating Chapter 29, Articles 6 to 7 and Articles 9 to 13 to Chapter 3. Parenthetical, Administration of Government, Article 6, Department of Administration and Finance, subsection 3-50, Division of Police, close parentheses, Police Accreditation Update. We would like to have a public hearing on this. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Second on that, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Anyone wishing to address the council on this ordinance only, please come forward now.
Michelle Arminio, 9 Nathaniel. I have seen chapter 79 coming back and forth in the last few months. Can you give me like a brief description of what this is, it seems to be extensive. And is this part of where the council doesn't have to vote on salaries and everything and appointments for the police department?
Well, first, council doesn't vote on salary.
Your mic's off.
Other than the fact that they vote on collective bargaining agreements.
So I'm sorry?
The only time council votes on salaries for police officers is when they vote on the collective bargaining agreement. So this has nothing to do with that. So it doesn't have to do with council not voting on that. And council doesn't vote on promotions either. So
And is that a change since
No.
on 79? Because,
Nope.
all right, I'll have to go back into my
no, the
notes.
answer is, in this form of government, it's never the council that votes on promotions in any
But-
place, right? They only
But
vote
don't,
on,
but I know we've had ordinances and resolutions about salaries and everything.
so we do have a salary ordinance, but that only applies to certain officers and not police officers. So it might be the police chief, it would be, but it wouldn't be anybody else because under this Faulkner Act form of government, and I apologize for not knowing how long you've been a Faulkner Act form of government, the mayor sets any salary that's not required by law to be set by ordinance or set by a collective bargaining agreement is set by the mayor. So that generally means department heads, the chief of police are required by law to be set by ordinance. Everybody that's in the collective bargaining agreement is set by the collective bargaining agreement, and everybody else is set by the mayor.
And since you mentioned it, what type of Faulkner government are we?
We are a Faulkner Act mayor council form of government.
Called Faulkner Act,
Mayor council.
but isn't there something like strong mayor or we council?
This is a strong mayor and we council. I don't like to say that because it sounds pejorative. But
Yes,
is a
it
mayor
does.
council. It's a strong mayor and a terrific council.
Appreciate that amendation.
Better, that's better.
That was a really quick save. Good.
Okay. All right. So so this ordinance then is what?
So if you look at it, a lot of it is, we're going through a police accreditation, so they make recommendations to kind of update our ordinance. A lot of it, for instance, and I'm looking at it, wherever it says he, they've now changed it to he or she. That's a big
Okay,
part of it.
so
They've
it's
also
changing
moved where it
language.
was in the code. There aren't a lot of substantive changes. It really is kind of technical changes in it.
Okay. And we are not a civil service police department?
We are not. It would be the whole town, but we're not civil.
The whole
we're not
town
civil-
is not
we're
civil
not civil
service?
service. No, we are not.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else wishing to address the council on this ordinance, please come forward now. Seeing and hearing none, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing, please.
Motion.
Thank you. Second. Second. No objection? But may I have a motion to adopt ordinance 01-2025-003, please?
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. May I have the roll call, please?
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora, Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is ordinance 01-2025-004, bond ordinance providing for various roadways, sidewalk, and curb improvements by and in the Township of Monroe, in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $1,700,000 therefore, and authorizing the issue of $1,619,000 in bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. I'd like a motion to open the public hearing, please.
Motion.
Thank you. A second on that.
Second.
All in favor? And no opposed? Anyone wishing to address us, please come forward, stating your name and address for the record.
Michelle Arminio, 9 Nathaniel Street. I would just like, actually, it's all also for the previous one, but what fiscal year is this bond going to go for? Is this 24, 25 or 25, 26?
Well, our fiscal years are calendar years.
Can you use your mic so everybody can hear?
Our fiscal years are.
Oh, they're calendars, they're not June 30th
No.
years?
No, they're.
Okay,
calendar
so
years.
this is 2025.
Correct.
Okay, and the other one, if you can just answer that as well.
One,
Yes.
the other bond ordinance?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all,
Okay.
they're all passed this year, so this is
Right.
the 2025.
Okay, thank
Anyone else wishing to address us on this ordinance only, please? Again, your name and address for our records.
Yes. Prakash Parab, 33 Dana Drive. I understand we are having a bond for the infrastructure of 1.6 whatever million. The question is, how much money we get every year from the state and the county for our infrastructure, roads and all that? How much money we get per year,
Mr.
approximately?
Weinberg, you can answer that question, please.
So we usually get at least one local aid grant. That ranges generally it's around between $400,000-$500,000, sometimes as high as $600,000. We've been also successful in getting pavement preservation grants through freight infrastructure grants. We've got average one of those every other year, which has been positive. Those two have been around $500,000 as well. So those have significantly increased. When I first came here way back, the average grants were between $200,000 and $300,000. So they've mostly almost doubled in terms of the size of them, the local aid grants. And they didn't have the pavement preservation grants, which we've used on Costco Drive, on South Middlesex, and a few other places. In addition, the county does a significant amount of paving each year on county roads. We don't see the bill for that, although we are the bill payers for that as county taxpayers. But they pave the county roads each and every year separately without sending the township a bill, although the people who pay county taxes amongst ourselves pay for that as well. So there is county paving that happens each year as well.
How much it is approximate?
I mean, every year is a little bit different. Mark may know more than me. Sometimes they do a lot of roads. Sometimes, it really depends each year. They've done big chunks of roads at times. Sort of depends what the needs are. Mark, do you want to answer that?
They did quite a number of roads last year, which is unusual. Normally, I would say about 2 roads they would do, or portions of 2 roads in town. But I think they did.
Approximately 1 million
I
something?
think they did 4 last year, 3 or 4.
They do long stretches sometimes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else wishing to address us on this issue, please come forward now. Seeing and hearing none, I'd like a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? No opposition. May I have a motion to adopt 01-2025-004, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Second. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora, Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next is ordinance 01-2025-005, bond ordinance providing for recreation improvements on open space by and in the Township of Monroe, in the County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, appropriating $250,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $238,000 in bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the costs thereof. May I have a motion to open the public hearing, please?
Motion.
Thank you. May I have a second on that?
Second.
Anyone wishing to address us on this ordinance, please come forward now. Seeing and hearing none, I'm going to request a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Thank you. Second on that. Assuming no objections, I would like a motion to adopt 01-2025-005. Motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you. Second on that.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora, Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 6 is the ordinance for first reading, 03-2025-006. Bond ordinance appropriating $406,000 from developer payments to provide for the improvement of the Southfield Estates Pump Station and the Hidden Pond Station in and by the Township of Monroe in the County of Middlesex, New Jersey. Motion, please.
Motion.
Thank you. A second on that.
Second.
Clerk will call the roll.
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora, Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Resolutions for consideration under the consent agenda.
Resolutions R3 2025-049 through R3 2025-076, with the exception of R3 2025-049, which will be considered separately.
I have a motion.
Motion.
Second on that.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilman DePiero,
Yes.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora, Council President Cohen. Motion carries.
Resolutions removed from the consent agenda for consideration. That's
Resolution R3 2025-049.
roll call. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Thank you. Second. Second. Thank. Roll call.
Councilman DePiero,
Abstain.
Councilman Markel,
Yes.
Councilwoman Siegel,
Yes.
Council Vice President Van Zora, Council President Cohen.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Mr. Weinberg,
Yes.
please.
Thank you very much, Council President, with my administrator's report. I'm going to start with mid-February. As many of you may know, we on Sunday evening, February 16th, we had a pretty heavy windstorm. Some of you may recall it. We did have a pretty large area around Clearbrook, Encore, and southern Rossmore that lost power at around 2:30 a.m. It was a very cold night. I just want to especially thank OEM for their action and coordination with JCP&L and the community with the cold weather. OEM was engaged and on the scene. DPW quickly responded to clear trees. Police took care of some of the lights that were out of power. And when the power wasn't quickly restored, the senior center was opened by OEM as a warming center until the power was restored later that day. Our police were following around JCP&L as they worked to restore power. In other incidents where the power was out, sometimes our police stay with them, if not only to monitor them, but to make sure they don't leave the town until the power is on. But special thanks to OEM, Public Works, police, and all the first responders for their assistance. So I want to make a mention of that. On a similar topic, JCP&L streetlights, which has been a real challenge over the past many months and year. We probably had, I know, along with the mayor and council president and Councilman DePiero, what appeared to be our most productive meeting along with them in terms of from JCP&L in terms of what appears to be progress with JCP&L on trying to fix some of those streetlights. For the first time, they're hiring outside contractors to try and catch up on their backlog, and they appear to be making progress. But certainly the jury's not out on that. Certainly have seen them in and around town, including Schoolhouse Road, and we're going to make sure that they keep that up. We also worked with them to make sure that we have a meeting with them soon about doing some LED lightings on these streetlights, so hopefully they last longer and they don't have to be fixed as frequently. We'll have to look at the cost of that, but it's really important that we have long-lasting and safe lights, so we'll be working on that. A couple items on the agenda that were mentioned during the discussion on shared services, whether it was the Salt Dome or there's a shared service item on here where we share EMS with Fire District number 2 over on Halsey Reed. We made some improvements there, so it's always good when we have the shared services working together. Also, 2 items on the agenda, one for landscaping on our township-owned properties, another for tree services related to our Shade Tree Commission. These were actually less than our previous contracts, which isn't always the case, which is great. I think part of that is because we were able to get 8 bids, and that's always great when we can get a lot of interest in some of our contracts, so very excited about that. We also had an ambulance on here. I'm not sure the public realizes how hard it is now to get certain type of public safety equipment like ambulances. You read in the paper also very difficult for fire equipment, but ambulances, can take 2 to 3 years to actually get to the property. And we have one that has made its way all the way to its last stop in South Plainfield, and it should be here this month. It replaces a 2010 ambulance with 199,000 miles. It can take, like I said, 2 to 3 years. So we'll be coming to the council with a new proposal because we have another ambulance that's in the queue but still a whiles away. But we're going to be looking to do some new ambulances where we're just purchasing the brand new truck and cab and chassis and continuing to use the box of the ambulance itself because it's generally in very good shape. That'll save us a little bit of money and hopefully speed up the process a little bit. So we're going to try and be as creative as we can in making sure we can keep our ambulance fleet up to speed. We closed this past month on the 34-acre Barnes property that's off Schoolhouse Road and backs up to Thompson Park. That's another property that can't be used as part of construction or part of round 4 of affordable housing, which we talked about last month. And then in closing, before I turn it over, if I could ask the township attorney to just give a little update on affordable housing as we gave the update last month, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about where we're at in that process.
Thank you, Council President.
Yes, please.
Make sure my microphone.
Well, then you can use mine, which is.
At our last meeting, the council adopted a resolution which essentially adopted a fair share number for the prospective need number for our affordable housing obligation as required by the Fair Housing Act. We've now essentially enrolled in what's the replacement for COA. Everybody's calling it the program, the Affordable Housing Program. At the end of this month, which is the 28th of February, last month, excuse me, any objections that were going to be filed had to be filed. There were actually 2 filed in Monroe, one by the New Jersey Builders Association, which appears to be a similar claim that they've filed in 150 odd different municipalities. And the second is Fair Share Housing. The Builders Association appears to be just a broad attack on the program and the way it operates. It's kind of unclear to us what the point of all of it, other than for them to say that they wanted everybody to adopt a number that was issued by DCA. Of course, the amendments to the Fair Housing Act specifically gives the municipalities the ability to deviate from that. So we're not thinking much of that challenge. As to Fair Share Housing, we continue to work with them. We've provided them a substantial amount of information. That part of the challenge has more to do with the fact that DCA's numbers were based upon kind of generally available data, didn't have site-specific information, excuse me, concerning any of the municipalities in the state. So we, of course, in Monroe, knowing and understanding more about the individual parcels in our land, made a different judgment with regards to what was developable and what's not. And we'll continue. The process in the law is that will play itself out over the next 30 days. And, you know, I can't give anybody an idea as to how exactly the program is going to handle this because it's a new law. We've never had it before, so you know we're just beginning now. I know they're up and ready because they called me at 7:30 this morning. Which, if you get a call from somebody in Trenton at 7:30 in the morning, it's just the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. And to confirm my email address so that they could start sending me notices for mediation dates. So that's where we are.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know, and the mayor has.
wants to comment as well, please, sir.
Thank you, Council President. Just wanted to follow up a little bit with our legal counsel said in regards to the one action from the Developers Association. And I have to share, I share this feeling with, I'm sure, all of us here, that Monroe Township takes its fair share obligation very, very serious. But we don't need a for-profit association inflating the numbers and warping the process that we followed. So with that being said, just wanted to make a few comments tonight. I'll be coming out with a public press release in regards to this lobbying group for professional developers. I think their action could be called disingenuous at best. I stand by the process, the vetting process, the professional process that we came to with our numbers. And quite frankly, we don't need developers coming in here telling us what to do with these inflated numbers, doing what they do, and then walking out, leaving us to deal with the infrastructure while they walk out with their coffers filled. So with that being said, highly disappointed in this. Our council might take it a little more lightly, but in regards to what their actions are, it's diluted because they're blanketing over 100 towns in regards to this. But they're messing with Monroe now, so therefore the strong mayor has to come out with some strong words, I guess.
Buck up his council.
Again, every town in their obligation for affordable housing, I'm sure, does the right thing. And that's how we feel here in Monroe Township about doing the right thing for affordable housing. We stand behind what we do, what we've done, and what we want to do. So I will be reaching out to a few other mayors in regards to potentially coming together with a more of a joint statement in regards to this. But we just wanted to get some public comments out.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
comment. Mr. Weinberg, are you
Oh, yeah.
needing to comment?
Yeah, so that completed my report, the
Oh,
affordable housing
good. I
component.
like
Thank
that
you.
phrase. I would like to say I certainly agree with our very strong and very tall mayor that this is how we all feel about all the work that we do, that we stand behind it and agree with it and believe that we always attempt to do the right thing. And that is how we function. Mr. Razumowitz.
Thank you, Council President. Quick update on some of the projects as the cold weather is hopefully leaving us and warm weather is in our near future to get some construction done. But the Monroe Police Station building, that's moving along well right now. We do have a roof. We do have windows, so it is enclosed. They're starting to work on the interior with electrical work, and soon that'll be hopefully wrapping up. But getting work done on the inside is a good thing right now. Next, the James Monroe Park concession and park improvements that was awarded at a previous council meeting. That's getting started. Paperwork is going back and forth. Shop drawings, contractors working on construction permits. So you might not see anything out in the field yet. They are getting everything in order so that once the warm weather gets here, they can get started. And lastly, the Prospect Plains Applegarth Road intersection, traffic signal improvement. Again, this is a Middlesex County project, and the word from the county is it's still at the state for final approval before going out to bid. I feel like I say that every month, but it's down in Trenton waiting for final approval to go to bid. And that's my report.
We'd like to move to council reports. Councilwoman Siegel, please.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Council President. Just a couple short updates. I did want to thank the Muslims for Peace for a beautiful crescent lighting ceremony last week across from the Stop and Shop. We even had a double rainbow and a beautiful sunset, but it was a nice opportunity to see the community to come together. And personally, for me, I got to learn a little more about Ramadan and the holidays. So wishing all those who celebrate a Ramadan Mubarak. And I also went to the library back on February 23rd. Agraj Seva Kendra had organized a celebration for Black History Month, and it was a very interesting lecture. They had a presentation by Dr. Nicole Burrows, who's an assistant professor at Rutgers University in African and Caribbean Studies. So she shared a whole historical timeline of African and Indian relations in British Guyana, from the early 1900s to today, which was very fascinating, being that I have some friends that are Guyanese, and I had no idea of anything around their background and the country. So that was very interesting. And I also want to share the second annual, something for your calendar, second annual Seniors at Play. The Monroe Township Community Theater Arts Consortium and the Monroe Township Cultural Arts Commission present the Performing Arts Club of Greenbrier Whittingham, Concordia Players, the Rossmore Players, and the Ponds Players, Saturday, March 15th, 2 p.m. at the Senior Center. So if you're interested, this was a big play they had put on last year. Tickets are available at the Monroe Township Library for $10. So do check that out and mark your calendars. And then I wanted to send out a quick congratulations to Bearded One Barbecue for winning NewJersey.com's Jersey Wing 2025 Wing Off. So congratulations to them. It's pretty neat when you see a local business win something like that. So that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Council.
Well, Councilman Siegel kind of took the wind out of my sails. I was with her at the library. I was with her at the crescent lighting, which was absolutely wonderful. As the rainbow kind of came out on cue, it was just a beautiful celebration. And I'd like to wish the community a joyful Ramadan and a peaceful Ramadan. One thing I did do, everybody didn't know this, but yesterday was Dr. Seuss's birthday. Very important day in my life, actually, as I grew up. So this week is Read Across America Week. So I had the honor of being at Brookside School this morning with the kids. The kids are fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I wish I could stay there all day, but they threw me out. One thing I'm going to hit on before Councilman Siegel says it, I'm going to say something about April. I'm way ahead of the schedule, so I'm going to say it before her. On April 27th at the Senior Center at 2 o'clock, there's going to be a Holocaust Remembrance ceremony. Mark your calendars right now. Last year we had Holocaust survivors there, and it was absolutely beautiful. And a lot of them spoke and told stories of what they went through. So that's April 27th. I figure I get a jump on the councilman before she says anything. That's really all I wanted to touch on.
Thank you very much. I wanted to start out by saying there's a new business in town at 365 Spotswood Englishtown Road. It's called Kids and Caboodle, and it's a party place that replaced the Chase Bank in Suburban Plaza. So I stopped by a couple times to meet with the owners and suggested that they reach to the mayor's office so they can get official ribbon cutting, and also we can support our local businesses, as we should I like to say always shop local. That will help a new business in our community. Also, on a good note, I just got noticed that our varsity ice hockey team, they won the GMC champs, but they just beat Middletown to go to the state finals. They just won 5-4, and I think it's something that maybe the mayor's office could reach out, or the rec center could reach out to the mayor's office, and we could bring these young fellas in and their coaches and also their families, because this is a group of hockey players that they play together for many years, and it's something when they become varsity and they make it to the States. So that's something that we should show appreciation to. I know will help them along their way, or some of them, if they go to a career, it will help them courage to stay with the sport. I had also the volunteer program. I spoke to Alan before. I noticed the state Senate passed a bill for volunteers, 39-0. If you're a volunteer first responder and you use your own vehicles, they're going to have a $500 annual tax credit, and if you file joint, it'll be $1,000 tax credit. So it's something I've been watching closely as a fire commissioner with a career and a volunteer fire company. It's something that if we can pass that along to our volunteers to help them have programs like Marlboro, and Alan and I spoke about it, and we'll try to put something together in Monroe where we can help our volunteers on a local level. But I wanted to let everybody know that the Senate passed a bill in reference to volunteers. Water main breaks. As our engineer said, it's starting to get warmer. When you see water and you see sub-zero temperatures, you really get concerned when you open up a faucet and make sure that the water comes out. You got to be very concerned when Joe runs his crew. And I just wanted to get an update on, I know we had some water main breaks, recently. I just wanted to make sure that everything's back to normal, and if there's anything that's you're waiting on parts or repairs on the water main breaks from this winter, Joe.
Sir,
May have to turn it on.
grab a mic.
Thank you, Councilman.
You're welcome.
Yes, this winter has been exceedingly difficult with the extremely cold weather and those little bit of warm-ups that we do have. You get the freeze-thaw cycle, and we do have a number of main breaks. I'm obviously very biased towards an extremely talented, skilled, and experienced group of professionals that we have in the utility department. And we do 99% of all the work throughout the township with close to 1,000 miles of mains and both in water and sewer. And yes, all of the mains and repairs that were necessary have been done, and we've been able to accomplish that with our inventory and our staff.
Well, thank you and your staff for everything for this winter, because it's not easy working in the middle of the night in sub-zero temperatures. So I want to say thank you to you and your staff.
Thank you.
Saturday, we had a rabies clinic. I visited the rec center, got there a little before it started, stayed for a little while, and we had 404 cats and dogs that came for the clinic. And it's just want to shout out to everybody at the rec center, the DPW, our dog catchers, and our clerk's office, and our employees that helped along from all the other offices, helped to make that a service for a community at no expense. So it was real nice to see a lot of dogs and cats run, well organized and job well done rather. Thank you. I noticed state funding for the Board of Education. It didn't look like we got a big increase. Looks like it was about $33,000, give or take a little. So it's not what they expected with the additional cost, inflation, and the increase of our schools' expenses, along with the staff, and increase with the students. So we'll see what they propose going forward, or if there are going to be any cuts. But it looks like it's only $33,000 the way I read it. Rue Road and Federal Road bridges. I've sent out a couple emails in reference to Federal Road. It's something that maybe we should notify the county on resurfacing those bridges, because they're in pretty dire need to not just keep patching concrete with asphalt. They're concrete surfaces, and they're just putting asphalt in the holes. So maybe we can notify the county. As one of our residents asked about roads, they also take care of bridges. And Federal Road, there's a couple bridges, but the one that's down by the Gascos by Monroe Boulevard is in real bad shape. The water tower on 522, are we planning on doing any repairs or painting on that water tower this year?
Joe, please.
Yes, Councilman. That tank was originally, I think, as we've talked about in previous council meetings, was originally thought to need to be raised in order to be functional throughout our system. As a result of some different hydraulic studies that I authorized, we were able to find out that by creating a third pressure zone within the township, we don't have to raise it. So now we're going to, based again on detailed inspection, both inside and outside the water tower, we're going to prioritize that and put that as part of our capital budget for 2025 to go ahead and paint that tank inside and out, but there's no need to raise it, saving, quite a few $1 million as it relates to costs from a capital expenditure standpoint.
Thank you. The last question I had was on the budget. Are we going to have any workshops or planning anything for the budget, or any hearings for the public or directors? We've done it different ways since I've been up here. Sometimes we had workshops with the directors, and then we open it to the public. Is anything planned? I haven't heard anything yet.
Sure.
Please,
Council
Alan,
President. So I think
we'll have you-
we'll be doing it the way we've done it the last several years. The budget will be introduced on April 7th. You'll get materials in advance to look at, and then there'll be the the appropriate formal budget hearing on, I believe it's May 3rd, which has to be a minimum of no less than 28 days later. And so we'll have that budget hearing, and then the vote will be on May 3rd.
May 3rd. Okay, thank you. That's it, Council President. Thank you.
Council Vice President, hi. Good evening. Good evening.
Thank you, Madam President.
Microphone. We need a class in microphone too.
Not too often people don't get to hear me.
This is true.
First of all, I also was at the crescent lighting the other evening that Rupa and Mike mentioned. It's a nice thing, and it shows the diversity in our town. We had a lot of different people there, and it's nice to see people of different religions supporting people of other religions, just as we support. We have our annual lighting of the menorah and our Christmas tree and things of that nature. So it just shows that a lot of us have differences, but at the same time, we're all supportive of each other. We also had our police swearing-in ceremony earlier in the month, which was, I know all the council and the mayor were there, and it's always a nice thing as new officers are brought on board and other officers are promoted. And it's always nice to see that, they're there with their families, and you could see the pride, and the pride comes from their families who, both the parents that raised them and, the rest of the family. Really makes it for a nice event, and we're always proud of them too, because they do a great job. So, having said that, I'm going to try and say this in a nice, sensitive way, because I've been on the council maybe about 4 years now. We come to these meetings and we listen to people, and we don't always agree with everybody, but we have a council and we work together. And every single person that comes forward, and you guys know who you are, Dr. Parab and George and Michelle Arminio back there. We don't always agree. Sometimes we have differences, but that's what it's about, and that's why we have these hearings. I have no doubt in my mind that every single person that comes here, though, and speaks, and I just want to let this out, says it because they have the best interest of Monroe in their hearts and in their minds, and that's why they come forward to be heard. And that's something that I'm always proud of. We all have our moments where, we could be a little short-sighted, we could be whatever. Nobody's perfect, but I know that people do the right thing. And as we sit here today, we just went through the 3rd anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I started on that when it first happened, and every year that it's happened, the first annual anniversary of it, the second, and now the 3rd, and all of a sudden there's a version going out there as if it was Ukraine's fault that they got invaded by the Russians. It wasn't. The Russians invaded them. They were the persons that got invaded, and they fought for their own country. And for 3 years, the United States has helped Ukraine by supplying weaponry and things that they needed. The Ukrainian soldiers fought, and they've held off the Russians thus far. It pains me to no end to see what's happened over the last couple of weeks. Not only do we have the debacle at the White House that happened over the weekend where President Zelensky came ready to sign an agreement with the United States, only to be discarded and denigrated by both the president and the vice president. Ironically, it was at a meeting when the Associated Press is not allowed anymore, Reuters is not allowed anymore, but yet the Russian agency TASS somehow managed to make its way into that meeting. Wasn't that just a coincidence the way this was all set up? And for them to denigrate him, I thought was terrible. But that's not the one thing. Earlier, about a week before, for the first time in history that I can think of, there was a vote, there was a resolution presented at the United Nations supporting Ukraine, and the only countries to vote against that resolution were Russia, North Korea, Belarus, and the United States of America. Since when are we aligned with Russia and those countries, as opposed to all our allies who have stuck up for us over the many, many years, going all the way back to World War I? We've never had anything like this in our country. And the reason I say that I'm trying to be temperate, although I'm not, obviously, it bothers me to no end. I see what's happening in our country. I see cuts to the FBI, the CIA, the top people in the Department of Justice, including many of the top attorney generals. Our Nuclear Security Administration was cut back until they realized what a mistake that was. The FCC, the foreign aid, USAID. Why do we want that? That's not just to help other people, even though it's the right thing to do and to help people that are sick and dying around the world, but it's also to help the United States because it gives us a presence in those countries. And if there's a void in doing that, guess what? This is where terrorists move in. That's when you start seeing ISIS and colonies like that. The FAA has been cut, as if we don't have enough problems there. The Department of Energy, which controls our nuclear program, they want to cut that. And dare I say, and I look at the gentleman in the back, the VA. They cut back funding on the VA for things like the crisis hotlines and the amount of people that can come there and the doctors that work there. Department of Education, Medicaid. All of these things cause our country more and more and more to become weaker. Now, a lot of people, and there's no doubt where I come from, I'm on the one side, I'm a Democrat, I'm not going to, deny that, and I appreciate that, and I'm proud of that. I have a lot of my friends, I can't take it. I don't want to look at it. I don't watch TV anymore, and they take the bury their heads in the sand approach. But as someone said the other day, and I heard, when good people do nothing, that's when evil will prevail. We have to stand up. You may not agree with me. I don't think this is a Democratic or a Republican thing. It's a democracy versus autocracy thing. Please do what you think is appropriate. If you don't agree with me, you're entitled to that, because right now you could still do that. That may not happen forever, though, if you start to disagree. So please don't do nothing. Stand up, be what you are, and stand for what you believe in. And that's my statement on that. Thank you.
Before I ask our mayor if he wishes to comment, I also myself wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed the Ramadan ceremony, and we were joined by one of our state senator was there, and several of the officials from Cranberry Township were there as well. And it was a very nice, and it wasn't cold. That was also welcome. But it was, and one of the students from our public school system here spoke. And that itself was a delight to hear her speak about what she enjoys at Monroe Township High School. So all in all, it was indeed a lovely, lovely experience. And one we would hope to see more of. And the mayor spoke eloquently about the joy of how we all managed to get along and move forward in our town. And that itself was also very nice to hear. On that note, I would like to also thank I was very pleased with the work of OEM the day of the storm, when so many folks were without power and heat and a variety of things for comfort, that our Office of OEM stepped up, as I expected they would, and did such a good job. Feels good to know that we can count on the resources that we have here in our town to provide services when we need them. Mr. Mayor, your time, please.
Thank you, Madam Council President, for allowing me a couple of minutes just to provide some short report and remarks. Couple events that I did go to this last month. I did want to recognize our Fire District 3 for their swearing in and promotion ceremony. Obviously, congratulations to all of the new firefighters, as well as those who were promoted from Fire District 3. On February 13th, we had our police do another presentation about break-ins, crime, prevention, scams. That was held at the library this year. I'd like to thank Detective Bennett for, again, facilitating, presenting. It is on YouTube or video there, so please take a look at that. It's ever evolving, and the more information that you have as a citizen, the more safe you can be. Obviously, it was mentioned before by some of our council members about the event last Thursday, the lighting of the crescent, very first time in Monroe Township. And this was brought about locally. Local organizations, Monroe residents came together to see this through. So it was a great event. I have to say about 200 people on the corner there. And yeah, that rainbow that occurred was certainly spectacular. All right, JCP&L, our stalwart business administrator, brought that up. And yes, we have made some progress in regards to the streetlights, I hope. But I don't know if you saw JCP&L 20% the announcement of increasing their prices, which is ridiculous, especially from the services and obviously the experiences that we had in regards to that. I'll be crafting a strong mayor letter to the BPU as well as JCP&L, and again trying to get some other mayors together in regards to this. I think it's just outrageous that they're asking for a 20% increase in energy prices. So what can we do as a township, as citizens? You may have received in the mail something regarding solar. The solar landscape mailing did go out, and I understand there were some addresses that were incorrect, flipped people out a little bit in regards to getting mail with somebody else's name on there or a previous owner, and they were thinking it was coming directly from the town. It didn't mess people up a little bit, thinking that, maybe their taxes aren't being paid or whatever the deal is. It's Monroe. People get a little wacky in regards to that. But the intent of it was just to let residents know that this solar program is available to them. So that's something we can think about. And then obviously this is also the time of the year that we go out to look for to reintroduce our energy aggregation program, which has been highly successful in the past. Obviously, we have not been able to get a good rate pricing with the rate in the last couple of years because the rate actually has been lower from JCP&L. But with this 20% increase, potentially we can work on a new energy aggregation program. So that's kind of what we're working with. Obviously, tonight we saw on the agenda, I was very pleased with the improvements for the James Monroe Park to move forward. There will be some pain points in regards to baseball. It's going to interrupt their concession area. It's going to interrupt the playground. They might have some issues with some lighting during the course of the season. But obviously, the end goal is to have an updated, ADA compliant, better situation for all Monroe residents, as well as Monroe baseball to enjoy a state-of-the-art facility with the improvements that were on the agenda. Upcoming, I did want to highlight on March 7th, the Middlesex County Office of Aging and Disabled, as well as the township, will be holding a senior fraud prevention conference, 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. at our senior center. Information is on our website, or you can just call the senior center as well. On the coming up as well, I've joined with the New Jersey Department of Military Affairs to hold a New Jersey State Medal ceremony for our residents who are veterans. We've had Clearbrook, and there was another community that did it internally, but I thought this is something that we should roll out to the entire township. So if you are a veteran and you would like to get a medal from the state in regards to recognition of your service to our country, please check out the website or stop by my office or call. Applications will be due on June 24th. And I do want to join Councilwoman Rupa Siegel's accolades on the bearded one for winning the contest for the wings. And if you have not been there, you really should try the wings. They are outstanding. I'm getting hungry, so I'm done.
You're done. Thank you so much. I've never been there. We're now
The address is Route 33. It's on Route 33. You gotta don't do speed because you're gonna pass it. It's on the Route 33 heading west.
We move to the public comment portion. 5 minutes per speaker, please, as you are all aware. May I have a motion to open public comment session?
Motion.
May I have a second on that? All in favor? No opposition. Please come forward, your name and address for our records.
Gosh,
You cannot fight first.
go next. Yeah, Gary Busman, 7 Monarch Road. So we were addressing for the moment affordable housing. So I would like to receive some information regarding the veterans housing that is presently completed its construction and taking applications. I'd like to know when the first resident will move in. I would like to also know how many are actual veterans, and based upon the original allotment, I'm hoping that there are more veterans applying than we can accommodate, so that affordable housing is secondary to the veterans.
Thank you. Actually had a call today on that issue, so happy to update on it. We currently have, I believe, 9 veterans living inside the facility. I believe they're processing currently 14 veterans applications, so they're working through that. And as many people recall, 37 of these units, as part of our court settlement as round 3 of affordable housing, have to be for veterans. And then 43 units are what's called veterans preference, which means we want to find veterans to put in them, but if we are not able to find veterans, we would have to fill them. Otherwise,
Yes,
right, we'd have to do that.
understandable.
So right now we're in the process of trying to get as many veterans in as we can through Conifer. So people should hopefully spread the word, because that's our goal and that's our ambition through the Conifer Realty, and they're working with veterans organizations throughout Middlesex County and the state to fill that up. So people can go directly to the facility themselves, right on Half Acre Road, where they can get as much information as they need. I believe a whole bunch of veterans service organizations are going to be there, I believe, on Friday for more of an open house, and they're going to continue to do their outreach on that, Council President, over the coming weeks. But we can use as much help from everyone to spread the word as much as possible. I know there's an incredible amount of outreach going, but we want to do everything that we can.
Yeah, but I personally have not witnessed any attempt by the municipality nor the developer to move this item forward, to be stressful.
I think it's not fair to say.
Why not?
Because they've been doing a lot, and they've been attending every event, and we meet with them on a regular basis and communicate with them on a regular
Well, that's
basis.
exactly what I'm trying to find out. I don't know that, and
Well, I think
I'm
Mr.
hearing it.
If I
I'm
could talk a
hearing
little-
it now for the first time, and I was on that original committee, being the only veteran that attended, with everybody else that was professional. And right now, I'm out of the loop, and I want to be part of that loop.
Right. So what we've been doing is, besides an incredible amount of outreach to organizations, this has been something we put in the Monroe News. This is something we've e-blast to every member who's on our email list. This is something we've sent to our senior citizen community list, our rec center list. This is something we've put on Facebook, Instagram. We've utilized every tool that we can to put it out, and we'll continue. If I can just, I see her. Okay, go ahead.
And I greatly appreciate that. I don't want to press the issue. I'm just so pro-veteran housing that I find it very, very important that we provide that type of service to our veterans. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Sir?
Thank you. Prakash Purab, 33 Dana Drive. Regarding affordable housing, there is a new law come. Mayor talked about it. We, as a public, want to know how we can, if this builders association are pushing numbers on us, not only mayor and council can fight, but we also public would like to represent. And I want to get more information because I don't want to take my 5 minutes. I'll talk and how we, the public, can go and speak in Trenton and speak at meetings wherever necessary. And this 20% increase in price in electricity, wow. That is bad. We don't even get 3% increase in salaries and inflation. So how we can lobby and go and talk against it, you know, this JCPLL cannot rule the country, cannot rule the town. We had to stop them. And what we did, you'll not believe, the lights front of the Rossmore on Forest Road, near the bus station there, were not available. Our friend Samit Balwali called JCPL and followed up, and they installed the lights. So we public also can call JCPL and get their back together, okay? So get the number, call them. Even if you don't see the street lights, call them and chase them. They will do the work. So another one thing coming about federal cuts. The federal cuts in the jobs are happening both for the Democrats and Republicans. It is impacting all the citizens across. They are not migrants. We are the citizens of the country here. And, you would have seen that, House Representative Tom Suzy from New York this morning on CNNBC, how he answered the questions. He said they are cutting the jobs of the new starters who have started in 1.5 years. How much savings you are going to get? Just Musk, who's that guy? Elon Musk gets up in the night and says, cut these jobs with no strategy. There is a strategy. If there is a federal government, naturally there is over-flooded. There is a strategy how to do it. Look at where the fat is. Give the notice and cut. How much saving are going to cut? But the new starters, the youngsters, they worked in the kitchens and all. They went to the college, find federal government job, and they get it and they're fired. This billionaire, how much he's getting money off the federal government, how much cuts he's going to get. I think here, no doubt we have to be efficient at the federal government, but who is this Elon Musk? Whether he knows, this guy's billionaire, he knows how much it gets to get food on the table of the people, getting in the night and giving advice to the president. I think these Republicans and Democrats, we have to stand up. The country has to go in the right direction. But when you are cutting the jobs of the youngsters, now NIH programs are cut, PhD programs are cut. Where the hell? Our country is a front runner in technology and science because of the universities. You cut them, where the bloody Wall Street will go. Wall Street will go down the hill. Because of the knowledge, we are the best. And you're cutting the education, the applications for the now PhDs, graduate programs, they are going to be rejected. Where we are going? I think we are talking, we have to go and speak up, okay? And I want everyone to stand there as a civic duty. Let them do that where the fat is, cut efficiently, have some brains. Another one thing is, we should have affordable grocery store in Monroe Township. Stop and Shop is enough. The bottle of milk costs $5.50 to $6.50. Where you go to Aldi, same thing is available for $3.50. We need a Aldi store on Applegarth or wherever it is. We need a Aldi store. That is the request. Whatever we can do, get the good, affordable grocery store in the town. And burglaries. January, we had 3 burglaries in our township. They are reducing. I'll be looking at the statistics every month. How the burglaries are, how many cars are stolen and all. The data is looking good, but it is always fluctuates like this with the weather. So look forward for our police department to do best job. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please. I see more than one person. Your name and address for our records.
My name is Susan Cohen. I live at 5 Cricket Court in the Stonebridge community. On January 29th, I sent an email to Mayor Delina. On January 30th, I sent the same email. I forwarded it to the councilman, Van Dusa, M. Cohen, R. Siegel, M. Marco. Yeah, those are the ones I sent it to. And I didn't get any response except M. Cohn did respond, thanks. No one answered the email, anything. So I'd like to read what I wrote, okay? It's regarding the removal of the nurse ordinance from Monroe Township, from the Stonebridge community. I was told by the Stonebridge board that you want another survey vote, that does not include enough residents, okay? All right, we had a vote and 53% wanted the nurse ordinance removed. I'm confused. I lived in Monroe Township for 44 years, and I'm sure that it's been times that not 75% of the residents here voted, whether it was for mayor, councilman, board memberships, education. And I didn't call up the office and say, well, I need another vote. And so I don't understand why they're dragging their feet. We hear nothing from the councilman, and it's very discouraging when you send emails, and I never had that before. I've been in contact when my kids went to school here in the town. I was on many committees. If I called up, I got an answer. People called back. I never heard of something like this, that you don't get any answer from anybody. It's very disappointing.
Good evening. My name is Fred Rucci. I'm on the board with Stonebridge. I'm also a CPA. I'm active one, and I have an office in Clifton over 55 years. I'm here representing Stonebridge. I'm also speaking about the nurses' mandate.
Into the mic.
Okay, I'm also speaking about the nurses' mandate. I'm requesting the Monroe Township Municipal Council to exempt the Stonebridge community from a mandate that requires Stonebridge community to have a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week registered nurse on duty. It costs the Stonebridge community approximately $442,000 a year, or approximately $36,000 a month. Stonebridge community is in the PRC 2 zone. The larger communities are in the PRC 1 zone. Stonebridge community is the only over 5 community in the PRC 1 or PRC 2 zone that's required to have a registered nurse 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Regency, which has homes in both categories. The cumulative number of homes in PRC 2 is too small to have the mandate, and the remaining homes which are in PRC 1 does not require the mandate. Obviously, in my opinion, it's an example of unreasonableness and unfair treatment to the Stonebridge community. This mandate was made by the Municipal Council approximately 17 years ago. At that time, Stonebridge community was under the operation and control of the Lennar organization. Since 17 years ago, an emergency medical building and staff with state-of-the-art medical equipment and training is now quickly available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and is less than 5 minutes away. Actually, it's across the street by the senior center. Actually, in addition, the 911 telephone call to the police and the medical alert system is also available. Recently, last week, the mayor presented a slideshow at the Stonebridge Men's Club and indicated that this emergency medical team is a wonderful benefit to all the residents of the community. The mayor highlighted the quickness and availability of the great emergency medical services and the quick police response that is always available in Monroe Township. Foremost, Stonebridge would like the municipal council to exempt our community or delete the RN nurse mandate and allow our community to self-structure and vote on our own community emergency medical services and procedures. Of course, a new Stonebridge emergency medical system and procedure would be created. The new medical structure and procedures would be submitted to the Stonebridge community for an approval by a vote of the residents. Okay, I was recently asked if we would guarantee that a vote would be made, and of course, I know on the board, our community would definitely want to vote on this. And as the previous woman just said, there is the votes. If the municipal council will not allow us to structure our own emergency medical services system, the Stonebridge requests the municipal council to allow the community to change our current emergency medical services as follows. To change the emergency medical services, which requires a registered nurse on duty 24 hours, 7 days a week, and replace the required hours to possibly 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Of a registered nurse and the remaining hours by the Monroe Township Emergency Medical Team and Monroe Township Police. Or to change the emergency medical services mandate of a registered nurse to now require the emergency medical services of a licensed practical nurse or a certified nursing assistant. If this was allowed, any emergency medical situation which needs a higher level of medical attention could be assisted by the Township Medical Services System, the 911 Medical Call System, and the Monroe Township Police. Or, if the mandate of 24 hours a day and 7 days a week is a Monroe Township Council necessity, then Monroe Township should reimburse the Stonebridge a portion of the $442,000 expended by Stonebridge. The reimbursement should be considered since the Monroe Township Council mandates this requirement without an apparent substantial reason to require the Stonebridge community to pay for the emergency medical services that Stonebridge is providing. This is like the Monroe Township expense reimbursement system that is currently in place for township expenses that the Stonebridge community pays for, such as snow, sanitation, roads, and utilities. Since many emergency medical services are provided by our community registered nurse and not the township emergency medical team.
Your 5 minutes is up, please.
Okay.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay.
Barbara Levine, 38 Timber Hill Drive, Monroe, Stonebridge. I did speak last month at length. I will not be speaking at length again this time. Mr. Rucci addressed some of the issues. Basically, we are just asking that the town council put the ordinance back up to a vote so that we in Stonebridge can then bring it back to our residents to make our own decision. The vote or the removal of the ordinance and the mandate will not, let me stress, will not change the nursing in Stonebridge. The vote has to go before the community to make any change. 67% is what is needed to make a change. The point is, there are 15, 55 and older communities. 14 of them can make their own decisions. Stonebridge is the only community that is not given that opportunity. And it is based on 17-year-old situation that no longer exists. There are emergency services, there is a fire station, there are several urgent cares within walking and driving distance to Stonebridge. We have met with the mayor several times. We have implored the council. We hope that we will finally get an answer that you are willing to put this back up for a vote. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come forward now. Your name and address for our records, please.
Deborah Schneider, 23 Harwood Road. Councilman Van Derzer, my family was from the Ukraine, little town called Smila. That is still on my bucket list. I don't care what your political persuasion is. I found your remarks distasteful and disgusting, and not for this venue.
To your opinion.
That is correct, as you were to yours.
That's what we still have right now.
That is correct.
Please let her.
I'm just voicing my opinion as
Would
you
you
did
please
for
just let
yours.
her speak? It's a public portion.
Mayor Delina, The letter that I got from JCP&L stated that there was going to be a 19% increase, but that was only for if you use 777 kilowatts. If you went above that, as several of my friends called and said, Debbie, I did, there will be another increase above that. So I guess everybody has to start walking around with their lights off, or God knows what else we have to do. I mean, I got my heating bill, and that was $250. I keep my thermostat at 67 degrees. I take Navy showers, so I don't use the hot water. I cut back on how much time I do for my laundry. I cut back to only doing laundry twice a month. I don't know how many more cutbacks seniors can do who live on fixed incomes. This is getting ridiculous. I sent a letter to JCP&L, never got a response. We're getting increases all over the place. What are we supposed to do? We're all, HOA wants an increase, JCP&L wants an increase. Now, if you pay your bills online, they charge you a fee. Everybody's got their hands in our pockets. So I have no idea where we're supposed to go for help. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Please, your name and address for our records.
Good evening. Father Michael Sorial, 112 Day Grove Road.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Madam President, Mayor Delina, council members, and township officials. As I said, my name is Father Michael Sorial. I'm a citizen of this beautiful town. I've called home since 2013 and serve as the priest of St. Anianis Coptic Orthodox Church here in town. Beyond my pastoral responsibilities, I also consider it my spiritual and moral obligation to think about the well-being not only of my parishioners, but of the community of Monroe, the people who live, work, worship, and raise their families here. I'm here today once again to bring attention to the ongoing dangers at the intersection of Federal Road and North Bergen Mills Road, a location that has become too familiar to emergency responders, local residents, and unfortunately to families in my congregation, including my own, as I represented the last time I was here before this body. Since I last spoke before this council, I do want to acknowledge the township's effort to increase the size of the stop sign at that intersection. It is clearly larger. However, the evidence is clear the adjustment has not sufficiently addressed the core safety issues. The larger stop sign does not mitigate the danger posed by cross traffic on Federal Road, particularly from vehicles approaching at high speeds from both directions. Over the past several years, and particularly even since the larger sign was installed, accidents have continued to occur at an alarming rate. These are not just numbers or data points. These are real people, real families who are being impacted physically, emotionally, and financially. And they are not alone. Neighbors, church families, and local drivers have experienced fear and harm caused by the current conditions at this intersection. Tonight, I come before you with a clear and reasonable request for the council to authorize the installation of a four-way stop sign at Federal Road and North Bergen Mills Road. This is not just a personal appeal on behalf of my family or my church members. It is a community-wide safety need. Four-way stops have a proven track record of reducing accidents at dangerous intersections, particularly in suburban communities with similar traffic patterns to ours. According to a study published by the Federal Highway Administration, converting two-way stops to four-way stops at high-risk intersections reduces severe crashes by as much as 77%. When drivers are required to stop in all directions, it forces caution, enhances visibility, and slows speeds at critical points. If for this reason the council does not feel to approve a four-way stop tonight, I'm asking for a clear alternative step. I respectfully request that the township file an OPRA request to obtain the full records of accidents, violations and speeding citations at this intersection over the past 5 years. I further request that the results of this data review be presented at the next public council meeting so residents and stakeholders can understand the full scope of the danger we're dealing with. I made my own attempt to obtain this data, but as a priest, not an attorney, I lack the technical expertise to navigate the complexities of the legal request. I'm hopeful that the township has both the resources and the responsibility to conduct this review transparently on behalf of its residents. Let me be clear, I'm not here as an adversary, but as an advocate. I have the utmost respect for the work that each of you does, and I know you all share the same commitment to public safety. There is a growing moral urgency here, though. Each accident, it's not just a statistic. It's a family shaken, a life disrupted, a reminder of what could have been prevented. As a priest, I have prayed with families after these accidents. I've counseled children afraid to drive past that intersection again. I have gone into hospitals and into homes, comforting those who were simply driving home through that intersection and were confronted with an accident. I'm confident that this council does not want to be in position of explaining to future victims why further action was delayed when all warning signs were there. I'm hopeful, and frankly, I'm expecting the council will take the compassionate and prudent step. I understand my time is over. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir.
Good evening.
Oops, be careful, the chair really is there. Your name and address for our records, please.
Adam Elias, 93 Old Church Road. I had some questions regarding the affordable housing mandate from last month. I think I want to misspeak what the numbers were. I believe the planner had indicated there was an original list of about 1,200 parcels that was recommended by Department of Community Affairs. Was that right, Mr. Weinberg?
Not recommended, 1,200 parcels that made up what they considered to be developable land in the township.
Got it.
Not recommended for development.
Is that list made public?
Yes, it's on DCA's website.
Okay.
Department of Community Affairs. I don't do well with abbreviations.
I apologize.
Just tell you as well. Sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. If it's DCA, I know it could be two different things. So is that, now I understand that, so that list now I understand is made public. Is the owners of those properties, are they put on notice privately, like through the mail, just like you would for a zoning application? Is that?
No, because it wasn't that kind of study. It was just, the state study was from, excuse the expression, from 40,000 feet literally, because they were looking at, statewide maps. They just identified parcels that they believed were vacant and subject to development. It was left to the township to go and individually go through each one of those maps using what I consider better data, because we have planning and zoning records and those things to determine which properties were actually developable. So for instance, they listed properties that already had developments on them. They couldn't tell that from some of the databases they were using, but we knew that they already had development on it, or it had a single family home on it, or it was subject to our conservation or deed restrictions. So we knew we had that information. They probably could have gotten that information. I'm assuming they just didn't have time in their study. So that was the township's role.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else wishing to address us this evening, please come forward. Your name and address for our records, please.
Thank you, Madam Council President. Paul Onish, 10 Aqueduct Road, Monroe Township, in the Stonebridge development. I have a couple of questions regarding safety and beautification in Monroe for the council to think about. The Wyckoff Road and Brickyard Road, which was recently repaired to put in new water system, I believe, has not been completely, I guess I'll say, resurfaced. It's very dangerous driving on that, and cars traveling north on that road will veer over the double yellow lines to avoid the ruts in that road. I'd like to see some action there. Federal Road near mailbox or house number 285, the guardrail has been hit by a very big tree. That tree is hanging on the guardrail, and the possibility of guardrail repair is needed, I do believe. Number 3, tree limbs that are hanging, that are really dead, if you will, can have a tendency of falling off, and it could cause hitting a car in an accident. So I'm trying to be proactive that someone should look at the canopies of the trees. Now, this is just on Federal Road, which I drive frequently. And the dead branches on these trees that overhang the road should be attended to by Monroe Township. It is not Middlesex County problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to comment before the council, please come forward now.
Shell Arminio, 9 Nathaniel Street. I want to thank the mayor for your words regarding the affordable housing. I hope we can stick to those words. It seems that every time the affordable housing coalitions and, again, the for-profit builders come to town, we seem to lose ground, literally and figuratively, in terms of the cases. So I hope that when we start having to pay our attorneys to do litigation or stand up to litigation, that we finally win some of them, because it's time that, yes, we supply our affordable housing, and I've always been an advocate for the affordable housing, but it's also time to put pressure on these developers to provide the affordable housing sooner than later. And maybe we can change the dynamics about them getting the affordable housing first and then the rateables next, because they're only concerned about their bottom line. And we should be concerned about putting people in need into those houses as soon as possible. I'd like to go to PFAS. I see that resolution 065 has to do with treatment design for PFAS on 2 wells, well 17 and well 19. Again, I know I asked this last month. Are they the only 2 wells that have tested for high levels of PFAS? And if I'm misstating, could you correct me? I see we have nearly $500,000 for some engineering issues.
Mr. Stroin, please.
They don't take up that much time putting that on.
No, thank you. We test for wells. We're required to do that as part of the unregulated contaminant rule because, as you know, PFAS has not been regulated throughout the entire nation. Right. New Jersey has very strict standards. So we test for all of our wells on a quarterly basis to ensure that we are within the New Jersey regulatory requirements. These 2 particular wells, again, because of the aquifers they're in and because contamination has come from other sources, which we have no control over, we have seen creep up through the years because of our proactive testing. So in order to meet the regulatory mandate going down the 4 parts per trillion, we are going to go ahead and design and put in the best available treatment technology for those 2 wells, which are the only ones at this particular point that require that.
And you've tested all the other wells for that?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm very interested in our potable water and our aquifers especially. I always thought the cleanest water came from our aquifers, but are they starting also to get saline, which is salt, in the waters?
Luckily, our aquifers do not have a lot of chlorides in them, so.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Because, and again, going back to affordable housing and all the development here, aquifers, as much as they may get recharged, and I am not an expert, you are, but as much as they may get recharged, we may get recharged with a little more contaminants, and we're pulling a lot more out the more population we bring in. So we really need to have a stern and big plan on how to protect our natural resources. So that should be something else that we can take to the Affordable Housing Coalition and ask them that we want to protect the people coming in and those who are already here. Going back to the resolution 058 and 059, 16,000 on the first one and 95,000 to Center State Engineering for Construction Management on 059. Are these only soft costs, or will they be doing actual improvements.
These are, Council
Please,
President,
sir.
these are just soft costs.
95,000 for soft costs. Will they be on 059? Will they be farming that out? The the actual, like, what is the 95,000 going to get us?
Right. So if I could, Council President. So the contract for improvements to James Monroe Park is, I think, just a little over $2 million. So this is the construction management component of it to make sure that the project as constructed, there's three parts there's design, bidding, and construction management. This represents, as approximately 5% of the project to make sure that that the project is being built to the specifications and managed correctly when it's being constructed. Our construction inspectors certainly do a certain level of inspection, as I've explained before, but this is having a construction manager on site to make sure it's being managed properly, which, every town has a design, bid, and construction.
Okay, and no offense, 5.8 it seemed like the 5 minutes goes so fast for me. Can they just answer the question? Or is also
Your
soft
5
costs?
minutes is up, please. Time's up. Anyone else wishing to address the council, please come forward now. Seeing and hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to close the public portion. All in second on that, please. Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? No. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please? Thank you. A second on that.
Second.
Thank you. What time is this now?
We are adjourned. The time is 8:22.
We are adjourned.